Hi there, I'm Tom Heap. I'm the watches specialist here at Sotheby's in the UK. Today I'm going to be talking to you about two iconic watches which are both very close to my own heart that I've spent a lot of time obsessing over. So we have a Panda dial Paul Newman Daytona, reference 6263, which is a fully monochrome example of the Paul Newman reference. These models were the last references of the manual winding Daytona. A lot of the kind of design cues which we have in this watch are still present today. So we have the black bezel with metal edge and the screw down pushers here. So when the Paul Newman or exotic dial Daytonas were first introduced in the mid-1960s, they weren't greeted by a huge amount of fanfare. These dials were considered a little bit dated. There's a fantastic story about watch retailers calling Rolex and asking them to send standard dials over so they could swap the dial out. So there are relatively small numbers of them out there. In 1967, Cartier London, run by Jean-Jacques Cartier, produced the Cartier Crash. It is kind of reminiscent of that swinging 60s period in London. And initially the idea was kind of rejected as being a little bit too Carnaby Street. So for the first series, there were only about 11 or 12 examples produced. This is a much later 1991 reissue. You can see that it has a Paris designation at 6 o'clock and the secret signature at 7. These were produced in a batch of 400. So there are a few different kind of myths about the origins of the Cartier Crash. The first of which is that a Banois, another watch produced by Cartier at the time, was in a terrible car crash and the watch was brought by its owner into the maison for repair, and the squashed design inspired the design team who then produced the first Crash. The true story is the design team at Cartier were incredibly studious and experimental. As a pair, they're quite telling as to where the collecting sphere is sort of headed. They're two watches that kind of begun their stories as kind of unloved pieces, but now have become core pieces to any kind of contemporary vintage collector.